Hey everybody. Welcome to the RPG Daily. I'm Richard Quiner. We're doing this live. I am flying by the seat of my pants this morning. I had some camera malfunctions. I'm hoping the audio is coming through. So if it is, let me know. So then I know that you guys can hear me. I had problems with this at the last stream where no one could hear me for a little bit and it was embarrassing. Anyways, that being said, trying to do this more often. Trying to do some. Excellent, you guys can hear me. Trying to do these live streams a little more often. I'm scheduling them now once a week. It's going to be this time every Saturday, kind of like a Saturday morning D&D show. I wanted to call it Saturday morning D&D show, but someone else already has that name, so I can't call it that. Anyway, so we're here. We're just going to talk about anything and everything D&D. If you guys have any questions or stuff you want to talk about, because I know sometimes when you're planning games, when you're running games, when you're just a player, you can't talk about certain things with your own adventure party, or if you're a DM, you can't talk about things with your friends who are playing in your games. This is where you can do that. I also have a Zoom link in the chat, so I can take one person at a time and we can talk about things. So, feel free to bring up any questions. In the meantime, we had this big announcement this week that I was so busy I didn't even pay attention to. And that's this, the Tasha's book, the new book. So I'm gonna look that up. Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. So it sounds like Xanathar's Guide to Everything. I think they could have moved away from that name. But we'll see here what they got going on. Tasha was, I guess, a wizard or a witch back in the day, and now she is an author who decided to write a book. So it's a rule book. What I briefly read about this was that it's actually the implementation of the new rule system that they were trying to come up with a while back when at the start of this latest push of Black Lives Matter and the latest protest and the latest call for diversity in gaming and their own alleged faults and things in that nature, which I won't get into. This might be their push to make their game more inclusive from a mechanics point of view, which is interesting. A lot of people didn't think it needed any work. Whatever side of that you're on, the fact remains they're going to write the rules, and you can or cannot choose to implement those rules into your games. Like, I will choose to implement the rules or not. Just like everyone else, they decide to switch to 5th edition from 4th, or to 4th from 3 or 3.5. It's always up to the players and the DM. So I thought that was interesting. It's an interesting concept there. So let's see what they got. Tasha is a wizard. I'm going to zoom in, make this bigger here. She's the wizard. She's one of the namesakes of a lot of the spells, which I find interesting. And I'm going to put on some music as well. I feel like that's a good thing to have. Fight the copyright strikes. It is all about preference. It really is. But I do know there was a lot of complaining. People like, oh, we don't need to change these rules. And they might not need to. But then it's like, well, if you don't want to change them, you don't change them. Simple as that. So I'm not going to... This one will not be monetized. Hope I get this volume right and it's not too loud. Anyways, yeah, so she is a creator of Tasha's Hideous Laughter, which means she's kind of a jerk, if you think about it. But then she decided to write a book, and that is how we get this Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. Let's see. She's collected all her treasured secrets and scattered them, and she's. This is basically all the information that she would have that her enemies don't want shared with the public, I guess, or her peers might not want shared with the public. So, subclass options. So there is Artificer subclass coming up, which could be interesting. New features, new feats, more backstory rules, and modifying characters' racial traits. Okay. That's the part that the speculation is on, is the modifying the character's racial traits, because it's like, that's where they had said there would be a lot of speculation or a lot of changes. So I'm really curious how they're going to implement it in a way that doesn't say all of these character racial traits are no longer necessary, versus, you know, make them more inclusive. It's an interesting thing. I'm really curious how they do it. And I'm also curious of how they cranked this out so fast. I know they're still working on it, but I'm sure they have playtesters going at it all the time. But it's just interesting. Group patrons. That could be fun. So a group patron is usually someone who, you know, pays the bills of the adventure party. Or, you know, it's kind of like the warlocks have a single patron, and a group patron would be, you know, taking care of the group. I think that's an interesting idea. It's a good way to add that into the thing. A lot of people I know do that already just on their own. They don't need the book to tell them that. Magic tattoos. Magic tattoos are coming out of Unearthed Arcana into this. That's good. I like the idea of magic tattoos. I think they're interesting. More artifacts and spells, of course. That's nothing crazy. Sidekicks, which were introduced. They brought sidekicks in the... What was the one adventure? I'm having a blank. Dragons of Icefire Peak, I think they brought in sidekicks. And so now they're bringing those in a little more. Supernatural environments, natural hazards, and parlaying with monsters. So guidance on how to parlay with monsters. And, oh, I like this one. I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, you can. Okay. Where did my mouse go? I like this part right here. Gain guidance on how to run a session 0. On running as it, like, we've been doing that. Everyone's been doing that for years, probably decades now. And their 5th edition, they're like, you know what, let's write some help out for people. That's pretty good. That could be something. I would hope in the next iteration they include that in the DM's guide, because that would be really useful. But I'm glad they're actually putting it in there. Puzzles. I'm also excited about that idea, because puzzles, I am bad at puzzles and making them. So I think that's pretty cool. So this goes in line. It falls in the same category as like Volo's Guide to Monsters, Mordekainen's Tome of Foam, Xanathar's Foes, Xanathar's Guide to Everything. All of those. This just falls right in that category. And it comes with the alternate cover, which is pretty cool. I think that's kind of neat. It's a cool looking cover. Announcement videos. Okay. And of course their hardcover is going to be $50. Yeah, so I'm definitely getting that. I would do a giveaway for this, but last time I did a giveaway on an adventure, I didn't get very many entries. I did one not long ago for the Rime of the Frost Maiden, and then I didn't get very many entries on it, so I felt like it was kind of a wasted effort sometime. But I'll consider this back in November, probably. I'll think about this more if I keep an eye on when this is coming out. I almost always tend to pre-order the books through D&D Beyond and then not think about them until they're out. after a week. And then I'm like, well, that was that. So that's Tasha's. Interesting. Interesting. Bookstores, online retailers. Alright, let's... The other thing I did want to look at, and I don't know if they do these here. Oh, they do. Go over some random stuff here. Unearthed Arcana. They're on their survey for subclasses, which were the College of Spirits and the Undead Patron for Warlocks. They had that. It's been about a month, so we can... I'm thinking we might be able to see some more Unearthed Arcana coming out in the next couple weeks. Would that be interesting to you to see, like, on the day that Unearthed Arcana comes out, to do, like, this kind of stream and look over what they got? Would that be something interesting? I don't know. I wouldn't mind doing a game or running a session that's, like, entirely Unearthed Arcana material just to get a chance to participate in the surveys. That might be neat. Alright. Then that is what we'll do. I already have Google set up to let me know when there's new Unearthed Arcana. I don't know how to set this up to notify me. But I think that's an interesting thing. So what else has been going on? It's kind of weird. It's early Saturday and I'm doing this. It's strange. I never do it early in the morning like this. And I went to bed pretty late. I've been working on a crafting project, building a piece of terrain that I can actually show you a little bit of. I'm doing... lately I've been trying to do some crafting because I'm working on a wedding. I got engaged back in February, so not long ago, and now we're in mindset of planning a wedding, which is quite something. Saturday evening for you? Okay. Gabriel, I think I have you on my next batch of players, I believe, for the community game. So we'll have to work on that. It worked out well with Christopher Smith, was in the UK, and it worked out well with him. Like, we made it work. So, if you're in the next batch, we'll make it work. We'll figure it out. So I'm making this tree. It really does not flattering on this camera. That's okay. I'm building basically a bunch of dioramas from Lord of the Rings, because that's kind of the theme of the wedding. They're supposed to be centerpieces for our tables at the wedding. And so I'm learning terrain while trying to build these nicer dioramas. And I stupidly started with Bag End. Don't know why. I should have started with literally any other location that I had on my list. Would have been a little easier, but Bag End, it's like, because it's natural shapes, it's grass and plants and trees. And so I'm learning a lot very quickly. And I'm trying to get that finished by tomorrow to take it to the future in-laws' house and discuss centerpieces with them to see if I'm going to be able to make enough over the next year in order to fulfill the needs of the wedding tables. At this point, it's not looking good. At this point, it's not looking great, but I gotta figure it out. Anyways, that's been like my life this last week. So after like the community game, I just stopped D&D. I have a D&D session tonight, but I'm just playing in it. I'm not running it. So it's kind of nice to just not be there. Or to not be doing that. Yeah, so that's what's going on. Hoping to get back into making the regular videos soon as well. Getting back into Game Master's Craft, the interview show. I have a lot of people that I want to interview and bring into that and talk to them, but do that once a week. And at the same time, I'm also now launching podcasts. I'm going to be doing 2 right off the bat. The Game Master's Craft is going to go out as a podcast. and the community games. Once I figure out a name for the community games, like the overarching name for them, then I'm going to send that out as a podcast as well. I don't know what that name will be yet. If you have any ideas, I'm open to them. I was thinking like Tales from the Table, but sometimes I say that and it doesn't sit well, it doesn't feel right. Anyways, let's look at some sage advice. Sage advice is kind of cool because it's just straight from the mouth of the... Oh, wait. Oh, it's a new PDF. Let's download this. Our little adventures. That's cute. But they're not little, they're the most epic thing ever. Interesting. I thought this was just going to take me to the website, but it has a whole PDF written out of the rules of the sage advice. Probably because Jeremy Crawford here was probably tired of always having to tweet. Like, people tweet at him things and he answers, and then it gets put on a website. So here's his sage advice compendium. So, questions and answers. How to calculate a creature's armor class. That's how you do it. Some of these... Here's the thing. Let's talk about learning to learn for a little bit. I think this is an interesting topic that I want to make a video on, but it's kind of hard to explain. Because I see this all the time. And I question things. And this sounds really... It doesn't paint me in a good light. But I like when people are able to learn things. I think schools, at least when I was growing up, my school didn't teach us how to learn. It didn't teach us how to study very well. It taught us how to prepare for a test. That was basically it when I was growing up. So, like, schooling in my time was always regurgitating information and hoping it was right. Where I look at it now and my whole thing is I try to learn how to learn things better. And I struggle with it still. Like, I want to learn different game systems, but it's really hard. Yeah, you learn to read so you can read to learn. That's a good way to do it. But then some people don't make that next connection. To learn, from reading to learning is something interesting. So I'm in a lot of different Facebook groups on D&D. And I see a lot of very basic questions that if people crack open the DM's Guild, they find it. Or if they do a quick Google search, they find these answers very quickly. And I know that because I did that. I have a mindset, when I was learning to DM, I had to have them breaking down very specifically. That's why Matt Colville's video on running the game series, his early stuff was very useful to me because he broke it down into like the basic parts. And that's how I learned. So I'm trying to learn how to do that. But then I see things and people ask these kind of questions like, I don't know if someone actually asked, how do you calculate a creature's armor class? I don't know if that was tweeted at them or not, but it's very nice that they went through and reiterated the information. But they also say, Chapter 1 of the Player's Handbook tells how to determine armor class. You can make that assumption for creatures sometimes, most of the time. Anyways, that's enough complaining about that. I think learning to learn is an interesting skill and a good skill that people should learn to learn. Anyways, let's see what are these other interesting tidbits that Jeremy Crawford broke down for us. Racial traits. So the trance is a long rest, yes. Lightfoot hiding racial traits. They can try and hide when observers are nearby. Interesting. So they can have someone basically looking at them and they can still try and hide based on their racial traits. I didn't think about that one. This is oh, that was a good one here. Can a Dragonborn sorcerer with draconic bloodline have two different types of draconic ancestry? And basically, yes. Your racial trait is your actual ancestor. The class choice is your figurative ancestor. Meaning, that's kind of cool, because then I haven't done that. Let's go D&D Beyond. Let's look up some sorcerers. Game rules, sorcerer. That is interesting to me. The draconic bloodline gives you different damage types. So you could basically get resistance to one damage type by choosing a Dragonborn of one color. But then gain additional like impact from different damage types. So you can pick a different color so you can be, say I'm going to be a gold dragonborn, so I have fire resistance right off the bat. But then I can pick a blue dragon as my draconic ancestry, and then my elemental affinity, which gives me bonuses to damage type based on that. So then I can deal more damage based on lightning. It's an interesting idea. It's interesting. Normally, I think people would, I would initially have looked at it and been like, I'll just do, a gold dragonborn dealing with a gold draconic ancestry, and that's it, and just focus on fire. But being able to mix it up might be interesting. Let's see what else. Druids cannot wear metal armor and wielding metal shields. A 1T pureblood storm sorcerer. Immunity to poison, lightning, and thunder is a 1T is immune to is a 1T immune to poison normally? And is it immunity or is it resistance? Very interesting. Okay, Heart of the Storm. Take lightning damage. Ah. Interesting. Interesting indeed. I don't see here where it says they're immune, but... Oh, there it is, right there. 18th level. 18th level! You have to survive that long first. That's the only downside. You have to hit 18th level. Which isn't a thing. Why did I have a knock on my door? We're gonna pause. I'll be right back. I'm gonna pause. Apologies. I think it's always weird when I get a random knock on the door because I'm not expecting things. But that time there was a package. Anyways. That's interesting though. Level 18, that's powerful. A 1T. Let's look at 1Ts. Now we're going on down the ADD train. Let's look at these races. Because I just made a new character for a game tonight, but I ended up going on Asimar. So I had seen 1T and I thought about it. I considered it. They have a different humanoid snake parts, so you could be like a snake man or a woman, a snake person. Abominations, Malisons, and Purebloods. They lay eggs. Pureblood is like they're the big and powerful race of creatures, essentially. Hey Daniel, welcome. We're looking at Yuan Ti right now. I don't know much about him. Anyways, they was among the richest civilization that gave rise to the Yuan Ti. 8 deceivers immune to poison. There's immune to poison. It's so interesting that some of these people, it really is interesting. So here's what I did, actually, just recently, and this was really fun for me. And let me know your thoughts on this. Anyone who has thoughts on this. The Rakshasa is an interesting creature. The Rakshasa is like it's kind of messed up at times. Because it has some really cool stuff, right? And I threw these at my players, thinking it was interesting. So my adventure party, they're level 11. And I put them on this barge that kind of crawls across the desert. And I was like, the Rakshasa run this barge. They take prisoners and sell them into slavery or eat them. It's like one or the other. But my party, they're only level 11. But they didn't even, like, try to figure things out. They were like, we're going to fight. Is the mayor of a town? Oh, jeez. Does anyone know that they're a Rakshasa? Because I had mine. Mine were all, like, disguised, I guess, as different things. It kind of went as, here's the Rakshasa. They're actually, you know, they kept saying there's a, they've done a simulacrum kind of spell to have multiples of them. They don't know. Oh, that's pretty good. Mine figured it out pretty quickly. Well, here's the thing, where it's real tough. They have this limited magic immunity, so they can't be affected by or detected by spells of 6th level or lower, right? And has advantage on saving throws against all other spells. Which, see, I forgot about that. The advantage on saving throws, I forgot about that. Their spellcasting abilities are not super powerful. They don't have, like, some yes, others no. Their DC is really high. Like, a DC 18 is crazy, and that's really good. Because I was able to dominate. I had several Rakshasas that my players were fighting. I was able to dominate them. But then came the gray area of trying to dispel things. And Dominate Person is like, it's a 7th level spell. So then my party, as they were trying to dispel magic on these people, I ruled that they would be able to dispel a Dominate Person because it's on the target, I guess. And this is where it's kind of weird, and to me was a weird gray area, and they weren't happy with it, with some of my rulings as it was. But it came out very quickly, oh, these are Rakshasa, you guys are in trouble. And the spellcasters quickly realized they're worthless in this fight. It's not helping them one bit. So then they ended up rolling to try and dispel, like trying to dispel Dominate Person. They had to roll and plane shift and stuff. But it all ruined because I gave, one of my players has a Gem of Seeing. So they can see, they basically get true sight when they have the gem, and they wear it like a monocle. And so they were going to meet with the captain of the ship, who was this, appeared to be a female elf. They, of course, being not the bard, but the barbarian, that character has to try and sleep with everything or hit on everything. Though he claims he's just trying to gather information. But that one, he decided to use the Gem of Seeing when he was meeting with the captain of the ship, which I decided revealed that she was actually a Rakshasa. He did not know what a Rakshasa was. I didn't tell them it was a Rakshasa. I said it's a tiger cat lady person with weird hands. And they went from there. Then that guy was basically kidnapped after that. They kidnapped him, threw him in a dungeon, and the rest of the party had to go find him. And I had some creative liberty with some of the abilities that they would use, but it made for an interesting fight as the party approached a group that were seemingly just a bunch of simulacrum of this one person, like a wizard kind of thing, that were running the barge as the staff. And then as soon as they got in a fight, they realized these are all Rakshasas. And so it's made for an interesting setup for the rest of the story, because the captain of the barge got away. The party did all right. They were able to fight quite a few. They dealt some damage. The Rakshasa ran away. The barge they were on was also getting attacked by some Thri-kreen who were coming to rescue some captive Thri-kreen that were on board this barge, kind of powering it. And it made for an interesting setup where now the party they know about Rakshasa now. And so now, hopefully, they question everything. That's the idea I was going for. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. I like the idea that when they get to the town they're in, like, people that they've known or people that are in their backstory of one of the characters are actually now Rakshasa, and they have no idea who to trust anymore, and it gets all kind of messed up. That's my hope. I hope they don't watch this video. I doubt they will. Anyways, that's Rakshasas. Interesting. I have to sit down and go over this Sage Advice Compendium. I think this is a really interesting thing to add in. It's kind of a bummer it was released so late, I guess, or a while back. The Sage Advice website is kind of cool. Which reminds me, there's a new, really cool tool out. I want to show you guys. I thought this was the coolest. Well, one of the coolest now. If I can find it. I may have lost it. Tools. So, Watabu makes a lot of stuff. You've probably seen his one-page dungeon generator, which is really cool, and a lot of people use. Which is also really neat because he's like, use this commercially all you want. But he just came out with another one the other day that is an island generator called Perilous Shores. And it just basically creates an island map for you of something with things. So when it's like this, you can turn on a grid. You're supposed to be able to turn on a grid. There we go. You can, I don't know what strokes are. You can, the evil fear. Wait. Ishard. He's named like the towns. So it has like generated names. And let's see more information. It's still in development. It's just crazy. This guy's done so much. So he hasn't added the export settings. So he says if you hit 0, 1, 2, or 3, you get different looks. That's kind of cool. Water mode can be like the little lines or different things. I think that's kind of neat. Shading modes for the mountains. Like, it's such a simple idea, but it's like, oh yeah, you need a new region, you need a new area. It's basically, you could just be like, oh yeah, this is my country right here, boom. And these named things just like that. which you could then take this and be. I'm pretty sure his next step after this will be connecting this to his city generator, because then you could just go to the city generator, which I have. Where is it? Medieval Fantasy City Generator, which is also his, and then just generate a city. I'm pretty sure that's what his goal is going to be. Because on this one, he actually connected this one with the Asgar's Fantasy World Generator. Asgar, if you've seen this one, which is a freaking world generator. Map generator update, okay. Military forces, battle simulation, what? What is this? What? That's cool. So, what? So you can have... That's just crazy. I'm gonna have to look at that. That just sounds fun to me, to be like, oh yeah, you get ice layer and ice editor, route and river elevation profile. Name generator improvement. That's improved integration with city generator. This is one of the coolest things about this is like you go into any of these cities on here. And you click on it and then you go group, go style. Openburg in Medieval Fantasy City Generator by Watabo. And then you click that and it generates the city that you just clicked on. It's so cool. So cool. Anyways. I need to keep a better eye on this thing. It's kind of nuts. I use this for my world. Can I just lose internet? Maybe. Nope. An Illusionist Bard. Interesting. I don't think my internet's playing nice today. I don't know. It looks like it crashed on my end, but I can't tell. I think I just lost internet. No? Okay. I'm just gonna keep going then. I don't know what it looks like. Interesting. Maybe I broke it even more. Very weird. Very weird situation. Here we got. Anyways. So, an Illusionist Bard. Let's look that up. See what you got going on. I have an Illusionist Bard. I have another player has shown interest in several different several different classes. Which school or which college would you be doing? I know Illusionist just means the magic you would use, but I'm curious about the college. Oh, College of Lore. Okay, let's take a look. 3 skills. You get cutting words, which is fun. Magical secrets. Okay, yeah. Additional magical secrets. I don't know if I want to... how high a level I'm going to make you guys yet. Spells known. I have to pick my spells for tonight. I'm playing in a game tonight where I'm playing an Aasimar Bard called Weiler Dune. I have to pick my spells. He's basically going to be really good at, what's the word? Backhanded compliments. So he'll say something that sounds nice, but once they think about it, it's like, oh, that's not very nice at all. That's the idea. I think it'd be fun. Song of Rest is great. You gain proficiency with 3 more skills. Cutting words. Oh, yeah. Your bardic die and subtract the number rolled from the creature's roll. That's pretty brutal. Can be. Here's this interesting thing about this. Reading it. You can... So, when a creature... And it doesn't... Obviously, this doesn't have to be an enemy. This could be an ally as well. And that plays into it a little more. A minimum of 18. I know the Eloquence Bard has the thing where you can't roll lower than a 9. Or a 10. Alright, Daniel. We're actually wrapping up here in a minute, but thanks, Daniel, for stopping by. Good luck with the party. Don't kill them too much, I guess. Unless you do. The expertise is always broken. I hate expertise, but I also love it because I play a rogue, and rogues get expertise. I'm playing a Eloquence Bard with the game tonight. We'll see how that goes. Level 17. So confused, Gabriel. I'm looking. Bardic Inspiration, Jack of all trades, expertise. You get it at 3rd level. With your ability score improvements, yeah, you get some pretty high stuff. At level 10, you get 2 more of your skill proficiencies. You get 3 sets of magical secrets going up, which is bonkers. That's bonkers. That's insane. Anyways, it's interesting, Gabriel. I'm looking forward to trying to figure out how to destroy your bard, then, because that's what I like to do in the games. Again, I have to get that email out to everybody ASAP. Yeah, they can get Wish, which is... So, I don't want them to get Wish. Because they can get a spell. I think at 18th they can get spells of that level, because their spell, Wish is a 9th level. Yeah, so at 18 they get magical secrets, grab Wish, and then they can do whatever they want, basically. Really OP. Anyways, I know this we started a little late today, but I am gonna wrap it up here. I hope you guys join me next Saturday. We're going to do this again. Try to be a little more on top of things. Hopefully not have some technical difficulties. And be on top of it. So, keep an eye out for next week. I'm also trying to get the Game Master's Craft back up and running as a weekly interview. And I will let you guys know when things are up on podcasting as well. Like, definitely going to try to get up on Apple and everywhere else. So, yeah. So keep an eye out for your email, Gabriel. We'll talk to everyone later. And, yeah. Have a good one.